Good afternoon and welcome to another episode of Titan PI TV, where we're looking at the inside workings of a live operational investigations agency, that being here Titan in Derby. Welcome, I'm your host Simon Henson and Managing Director of Titan Private Investigation Limited. I hope you're happy and you're enjoying the lighter mornings and the lighter evenings at this time of year. Today's short episode, we're looking at Clare's Law, or also known as the Domestic Violence Disclosure Scheme, or DVDS. So, DVDS is a police policy allowing individuals the right to know if their current partner or former partner has convictions for violence or abuse. The policy is named after Clare Wood, who was tragically murdered by her former partner / boyfriend in 2019. The policy was formally rolled out in 2014 after her father's campaigning to bring it in as law. Anyone can make a DVDS application if they believe that they are at risk of abuse, or it may be they're concerned on behalf of a close friend or relative. The process takes 35 days, or at least up to 35 days. Yep, you heard that right. 35 days. However, if you can't wait 35 days, and I would suggest that if there is a genuine worry, then you can come to a private investigator and we can do it in 24 hours. But I'll come onto that later in a little bit more detail. So, under Clare's Law, a person has two rights. The right to ask and the right to know. So the right to ask means that you can make a DVDS application to ask about a current or former partner that you think have previous convictions of abusive behaviour or violence. Any information that the police share with you about a partner is called disclosure. An application can also be submitted on behalf of a close friend or a relative who you think might be at risk from their current or former partner. However, depending on who you are, the police may not disclose that information to you, or they may disclose it instead to the person who is at risk. Let's look at right to know then. The right to know means that if police do checks that show a current or former partner has a history of abusive behaviour, they will proactively share the information with you because they believe that you are at further risk or future risk. So if the police decide to make a disclosure, either to a relative or they feel it's more appropriate to do it to the person who is actually at risk, then the disclosures have to be considered to be lawful, proportionate and necessary. This is really similar to how we go through the legitimate interest assessment. I always struggle on saying that. LIA, let's call it. So we have to go through a process. Is it justified? Is it accountable? Is it proportionate? Is it appropriate and is it necessary? The police have to do the same thing. They have to say, is it lawful, is it appropriate, and is it proportionate and necessary to pass that information? This means that the police must first decide whether it's appropriate to disclose the confidential records as part of the DVDS application. If there is enough to suggest that there is a risk, then the police will make a decision on what information will be disclosed. If the application is applied for on behalf of an individual, then the police will disclose any information directly to the person involved and not generally to the person who has made the application. So in the circumstances that an application is submitted to the police through the DVDS process, the person is not known to the police, or the police have done checks and there's no real threat of safety to the person, then this information will always be relayed back. So if you have done a DVDS application and you hear nothing, then by the time the 35 days expires, then that needs chasing, because they will come back to you either way, whether yes, they will share information or no, they won't. Abuse isn't limited to physical abuse. It can also include harassment, verbal abuse, stalking, psychological threats or manipulation, sexual assault and violent behaviour. Anyone can experience domestic abuse regardless of age, race, ethnicity, class or disability, etc. The issue, as I see with Clare's Law, is this 35 days. It's once again just typical government body taking absolute age to do anything. So 35 days The only reason you would submit a DVDS is because you think there is a legitimate threat or risk to a person's life. Why wait 35 days for that? So as a private investigator, we can do background checks. Background checks generally take 24 hours. They are bespoke to your needs. We can find out so much information legally, and if there is certainly an element of risk to a person, then we might be able to go a little bit further. But we have to stay within the parameters of the law, and we have to go through, is it justified, appropriate, proportionate, accountable, and is it necessary? If we can answer yes to all of those, then we can help you. It might be that all you want to do is know if this person has got a criminal record. We can go back 10 years doing what we call a national court search. It won't show or highlight when people have been arrested or whether they've been charged to court and found not guilty. But it will tell us by doing a national court search if someone has convictions. And that's what you want to know. And it only takes 24 hours. So I would suggest, rather than go for the DVDS system or application process, I would personally say approach a recognised, trusted, professional investigation agency like Titan, and we will find the results for you through doing a background check and hopefully stop any harm to either your loved ones or yourself. Sorry to end on a bit of a dampening note there. However, thank you for listening. Please give us a thumbs up. That's another episode of Titan PI TV. If you've enjoyed it and don't want to miss more, then subscribe. It's free, and you'll be notified of our future episodes, which are released at 3 p.m. every Friday. Thank you for listening.